So the first thing we're going to talk about in some detail is a resin. What type of resins are out there, and what are their qualities? I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So the first one is a polyester resin. All right, polyester resin is this one is Silmar 41, as you see on the label, put out by U.S. Composites down in I believe it's Palm Beach, Florida. No, it's Florida. I believe it's Palm Beach. You go online, you look at it. There's a ton of different polyester resins. Silmar 41 is the one that is it's a clear casting resin. What are the qualities? It cures very hard, and it's a little bit brittle, and the brittleness is very dependent on the amount of additive you put in it. The additive is called MEKP, and this is the part that you need to be careful with. MEKP is not the nicest of chemicals. MEKP is added, which basically is an oxidizer, which then heats up the resin, and heat causes it to cure. And so the more MEKP you put in it, the more oxidation takes place, the more heat that's developed, and the faster it cures. So when I cast with polyester resin in Silmar 41, I usually cast with about 3, sometimes 4 drops per ounce. If you look at the instructions will tell you either 10 or 20 drops per ounce, but they're casting a very thin sheet is what they think you're using it for, not a really large, deep pen blank or larger casting. So 3 to 4 drops per ounce, and the larger your block that you're casting, the less MEKP you need to add, because the more material you have, the more heat that's developed. The more heat that's developed, the faster it cures. The faster it cures, it creates heat. So you can see it's a chain reaction type process. So polyester resin will also cure tacky on the top. That's so that you can cast, again, another layer on top of it, and it will cure to itself. If that tackiness is there, set it outside in the sun for 10-15 minutes if you're in a very sunny area, or put it in a toaster oven at 150 degrees for 15-20 minutes, and that tackiness will go away, and it gets rid of the tackiness on the top. So as I said, it cures hard. It's fairly brittle. If you drop a pen that is clear cast with Silmar 41, there's a good chance that you're going to crack it. It shines great. You'll find that the harder the material, the better it shines, the easier it is to shine. You do not need a pressure pot with this, although a pressure pot is convenient, but you can cast without a pressure pot with this. But this stinks to high heaven. It is very, if you ever been around fiberglass resin, that's basically polyester resin. It has a very pungent smell. When you open it up, it will clear the room. You do need to wear a respirator with it, something that gets rid of, an organic respirator will get rid of all the bad stuff that is with this. Well-ventilated space is required. Do not cast with this indoors. So that's polyester resin. It has its good points, which is it's easy to work with, it shines really nice, but the bad points are it stinks really bad and it's a little bit brittle. All right, the next, Alumalite, specifically Alumalite Clear, which is what I'm going to use today, and Clear Slow, which is the same formula, just you get a little bit more working time out of it. This is specifically made for pen blank casting in the Alumalite line of products. It's got a good hardness. It was actually designed for pen makers. You get a good shine, but it does require a pressure pot. You have to be accurate with your measurements, and Alumalite Clear and Clear Slow do not like moisture. Moisture will cause it to foam. Fogginess in your cast means if it's just on the surface of your cast, it's probably air in your compressor, in your air system. So you may have to drain your compressor. If it's foggy throughout or there's white streaks in your cast, that's because you didn't mix it very well. So you have to make sure that you mix it well. It says 8 minutes of working time. Don't worry about that. 7 or 8 minutes is a long time. Believe me, you can get a lot done in that 7 or 8 minutes. So don't undermix it. Mix it well. And the last kind of major resin that we use is epoxy resin. What you're seeing here is liquid diamonds. There's two parts to this, A and B, and you can see from the size that this is mixed 2 part A to 1 part B. Don't be afraid if the B turns yellow. That's very common with epoxies. It's still going to cure clear. It's going to cure crystal clear. There's a lot of brands of epoxy out there. This is liquid diamonds. Alumalite has a brand that's called Amazing Clear Cast, and that's popular and it's used a lot. Epoxy is softer than the other 2 resins. So what does that mean? I told you earlier, the hardness tells you how easy it's going to be to shine. Sometimes epoxy can be difficult to get a good shine, and it takes a long time to cure, right? Liquid diamonds is anywhere from a 18 to 24 hour cure, and then to get it to fully cure so it hardens all the way through, you're supposed to let it sit for another 5 days. But the reason people like epoxy is it's the most forgiving when it comes to moisture. So, but I'm a believer of if you dry your wood properly and you're using the right colorants and you're using the right stuff, that you don't have to cut the corner and use something that's more forgiving. I use Alumalite Clear and Clear Slow for just about 90% of everything I do. So the choice is yours. If you have more questions about resins, please, send me a message, call our store, whatever. I'll give you the honest truth of how I've used them and how they've worked for me. So just do your research. If you ask someone a question and you say, what resin should I use? And the first word out of their mouth is some resin, I would caution you to take their advice. The first word out of their mouth is, so what are you going to cast? What do you want to do? What you're going to cast and what you're going to do with that cast has a lot to do with the type of resin, because each one has its own properties. Each one operates differently. Each one for the long haul is totally different. So if someone blurts out without having any clue what you want to use it for, I caution using that. The first word out of my mouth is normally, so what is it that you want to do? Are you just going to do color? Are you going to do color and clear? Are you going to do deep pours, large pours, huge pours? Each one of those is different. So if you give me a call, we can talk through what your desires are. We can talk through what I think you should use, but that's just my opinion. And I'm going to give you my honest opinion. It's not going to be because I sell Alumalite Clear and Clear Slow. That's not always going to be my choice. My choice might be polyester resin. My choice might be epoxy. But I'm going to give you the honest answer because that's what I think we do. And that's our, as a business owner, I should be giving you the honest answer. I shouldn't be giving you an answer because it benefits me. I need to give you the answer that benefits you. And that's what we try to do. So if you have questions, give us a call and we can talk through your need. But these are the three major resin types that are out there. There's a lot of different brands of each of these resins. These are just the ones that we use.